Welcome to the Radical Rhythm Podcast. This has been created for those of us that love radical women who live perhaps by the rules, but also question and challenge the status quo. We want more from our lives, to enjoy our sexuality, to explore radical thought, and to celebrate women who have lived and continue to live unconventional lives. Hi, I'm Dr. Toni Baer, sexologist, educator, activist, and definitely a radical woman. Thank you for joining me as I share stories of women challenging the status quo and living life to the fullest. Join me as we unapologetically march to the beat of a different drummer together. Welcome to episode number 13. You are the cake, the delicious intersection of food and sex. I am thrilled to be able to interview Chef LeLe today. Chef LeLe is in Las Vegas, Nevada, and she has recently written a book called Sis, You Are the Cake. And, what an interesting story to share. She comes from a background of being very depressed and having this epiphany in life that there's much more to life. And she trained to become a chef and now is known as the cake queen, the cupcake queen, and the praline queen. And her baking is well known in the city of Las Vegas. I want to share her story with you today. What a special story to share. Please join me in welcoming Chef LeLe to the Radical Rhythm Podcast. Welcome to the Radical Rhythm Podcast. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Chef LeLe from Las Vegas, Nevada, and she has a new book out. We're going to talk about her book, but she is a radical woman, and I can't wait for you to have a chance to meet Chef LeLe. Chef LeLe, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, Toni, first and foremost, and thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here. And so, yes, a little bit about me. I am a radical woman. I am your favorite cake lady, of course. But I went to Le Cordon Bleu, so I am a chef. I went to Le Cordon Bleu. I became a chef at the Hershey Country Club where they make all the chocolates and stuff like that. And so while I was there in Hershey, instead of becoming was staying in chefing, being like an actual chef, I eventually kind of tapped into cakes because I was around all that chocolate. And so here I am now. I create beautiful cakes for all kinds of occasions. And I've written my book as well as I have a few classes for aspiring bakers. So I'm doing actually quite a few things.
Wow, you sound like a very busy lady
Oh my
out
gosh,
in Sin
yes.
City. How
Yes, so
wonderful.
I make all kinds of, especially out here, all kinds of cakes. One of my most popular cakes is my boozy cakes that is actually infused with alcohol. So, of course, being in Sin City, that's like a big thing. Everyone wants to party out here. So,
Yeah. I don't know if I made the right choice or a mistake, but I got on one of those party flights on a Thursday night to Vegas, and I've never been on a flight like that before. It was bouncing, the people were bouncing and talking and excited. And yeah, have you always lived in Las Vegas?
no, I actually grew up in the South. So I'm from Florida, but I moved to Georgia. This was about 8 years ago now. And so I was there for the I lived there for about 8 years actually. And then I decided to move out to California. I lived in Hershey briefly while I was cooking for them, but then I decided to move out west. So then, next thing you know, I was in California. I built a name for myself out there as Chef LeLe. And then I decided to move out to Vegas because I was working on my book and it was just better business wise for me to come out here. And so a lot of people, they know me now out here for the cakes as well.
Fantastic. Now, you went to a special school to be a chef, and
Hmm.
you mentioned the name of that. Where is that located? And tell me, oh, I'll ask you the next question later. Tell me about the school and being trained.
Well, I went to Le Cordon Bleu. That was in Atlanta. So I moved from Florida. And when I got to Atlanta, I noticed there was a lot of different occupations there that were different from where I come from. It was a small town in Florida where I'm from. And so there were just not a lot of different options for occupations there. So once I got to Atlanta, I heard about this culinary school. And so I just went over and took a tour and the rest was history. I actually went to a few medical schools before I ever went to culinary, and I never completed the medical schools, but culinary school was the only school that I ever completed. So I guess I was destined to be a chef.
Right. So we talked about this briefly last time we chatted about being a woman and being in the field of culinary arts. Now,
Hmm.
most of our families, many of the women in our families are the cook, are the chef in the family. But
That's
in the
very true.
field of culinary arts, many of the kitchens, professional kitchens that I've been in, it seems male run.
That is very true, actually. And I'll even share this tidbit too. So sometimes when I'm driving around the city in Las Vegas, all of the billboards that are here, they promote male chefs. I don't see any promoting of any female chefs at any of the restaurants here in Vegas. So that's very true. And then also, I don't know, I would say maybe that's like that because first and foremost, being a chef, it is very demanding. So you're away from your family a lot. A lot of women are in the home more so, I guess you can say. And so a lot of times it because it eats up so much of your time. Like I'm super busy. My family, they understand how it is for me to be a chef though, because we are all on the same page. But it gets very, very demanding. And like Mother's Day, that's like the busiest holiday. So it's sometimes where you may spend the night sleep at the restaurant because it's insane.
Hmm. Now, you mentioned that you're a radical woman. How do you march to the beat of a different drum?
Well, definitely, I go against the norms in society. So, as I mentioned, I do have a family. I'm a mother, I'm a single mom, but I chose to not just stay in I chose not to just stay in a limited situation. And so, my children, I go and see them all the time, but I live in a totally different state from them. They actually still live in the South, and I like that they have their upbringing in the South. They also like it as well. However, because I am a single mom and I wanted to go out and chase my dreams and also be able to be a role model for my children, I decided to step outside of what society calls the norm. Because, like, society would say that a woman should always be at home, you should always be with your children. And no, I'm not promoting, for women to just leave their children, but definitely you shouldn't just limit yourself. And so that's why I feel like I'm a radical woman because I step outside of the box. And also, I'm showing my children what it is to, be just make a way for yourself, make it work.
Hmm. So let's talk about the sexy bits. You know that this podcast, features women that are radical, such as yourself, choosing a different path, being in a male-dominated field of
Hmm.
chefs, and also sexuality and The intersection of food and sexuality is, for me, such an interesting topic. And that's what I wanted to make sure I had a chance to delve in to that topic with you.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to be a chocoholic, right? You mentioned Hershey when we first talked, and I was like, oh my God, I need to meet Chef LeLe. She is a
Mhm.
chocolate specialist and a baker, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And I swear that chocolate, for me, replaced sex for a long time, and
Mhm.
absolutely kind of, for me, goes with my sexuality. It's something that makes me really happy. And, if I can put food and sex together, that makes a great combination. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, what kind of foods do you find as aphrodisiacs?
Well, there are the well-known foods such as oysters, and I don't know. I would guess because it's the slurping of the oyster, and then you may feed it to your honey or something like that. But they say that it promotes like good sex health. So it is some nutrients in there that apparently promotes that. But yeah, I would say it's for me, I would think that it's just from the slurping. Like it's something about those sounds. Then also you mentioned chocolate and how it makes you happy. Well, chocolate is actually also considered an aphrodisiac along with strawberries. I would even say although honey is very sticky, if these things like honey and even maybe some chocolate syrup, if those things are warmed up, and then maybe you pour some of that on your honey or whatever, it's just the different temperatures and textures, those kind of things, of course, along with these foods, they play a role in stimulation. So it's very true that food and sex goes together.
Right, right. So you could use food in the bedroom if that's something that you like, as you mentioned, like honey or chocolates.
Mm-hmm.
You could use it as foreplay, as we mentioned, right? Kind of teasing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what about if, you mentioned you're a single woman, it doesn't mean you're looking, but as a single woman,
Mhm.
if you were going to, try to seduce your date through food, what would the menu look like?
Well, the menu would definitely, so I like to, maybe it would actually be just a platter of different items, almost like hors d'oeuvres, so I can get an idea of some of the things that they may actually enjoy. And not because I want to feed them to the point of where they're super full, because sometimes we get full and then it's like, we're tired now, we're lazy. So I want to feed you little bite-sized pieces to, lure you in. I want you to like experiment with different things, and I don't want you all slouchy and tired.
Yeah, yeah. I would think a big bowl of spaghetti, on a date would not make for a good evening afterwards, right? They would
Well,
be
no,
falling
because
asleep.
they'll be falling asleep, and then also depending on the things that are inside of the sauce, you may have onions or just different. That's the flavors. No, it's just not going to go well. And then also, you are what you eat, so you don't want to be you don't want to be eating certain things because say things did turn sexual, where now those things come out in the form of taste and odors and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely eating stuff, things like pineapples, strawberries, bananas are also very sexy too, because I guess it's a banana that's shaped.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. And yeah, so when I thought about our interview today, I thought about, well, she is a radical woman. She's in a male dominated field. She's living a non conventional lifestyle in that you're living apart from your children.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
um, you're making cakes and baking. Um, and you're in Sin City of all places, right?
Hmm.
And that's just a sexy place to be.
And I'll
Um,
add one other thing since you brought up about the male domination. So, because there are so many males that are in the field, women that are in the field, they're hardly ever recognized for any of their efforts, also. So, if you are recognized for anything, it's almost like it's a special occasion because rarely do you ever get referred, or you just really have to be on top of your game because it's so heavily dominated by men.
mhm. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do this interview is I wanted to introduce the world to you that listens to me anyhow.
Thank you.
And your new book, Sis, You Are the Cake. Um,
Hmm.
Tell us what motivated you to write the book. What is the book about?
Well, the book, Sis You Are the Cake, it's a book really about kind of my personal story. I also talk about just other inspiring things, words of encouragement to inspire women who may not have always made the right choices in life. However, maybe they need a friend or someone to encourage them to tell them, okay, I was once right here, but now this is where I am. I've also made a lot of sacrifices to get where I am, and you may have to also make some sacrifices. But if you strive and set goals and work hard towards those things, then you can also have really the life that you want to have. It's really about designing the type of life that works for you,
Hmm.
and then doing it unapologetically, where you're not worrying about what someone is going to think about you because you're living the life that you want to live, as long as you're not, of course, hurting anyone. Live life. You only get one life to live, so you should definitely do the things that would bring you happiness.
Fantastic. And where can someone get your book?
My book is available on Amazon.com. It's also available on my website, which is cheflele.com.
Fantastic. And we are going to put that with this podcast so that individuals can find you if they want to grab your book or work with you. You said you have a course as well?
I do. So I offer a couple cake classes on my website. One is more so like if you wanted to start a cake business. So it's a downloadable version. It tells you all the things that I went through just to get my business started and how you can do the same also. And then the other course is a one-on-one course. So that's more so if you just needed some hands-on training for decorating cakes.
Wow. Can you tell me, and I thought this would be a good way to end our interview today. Can you
Mhm.
tell me the most exciting gig, job, um, order that you've had, that you've made? Something that you're very proud of?
Well,
Or
I
just exciting,
actually,
you know?
I would definitely say I have a few situations, but when I became a chef in Hershey that time, that was very exciting to me because that was actually one of the best summers that I ever had. It was a summer position, and it was just to be able to see, because I came from, like I said, a little small town in Florida, and so to see myself get called, because they were done calling people. That was one thing. They were done calling people, but they just so happened to call me, and so I was so glad that I was able to do that. But I would definitely say a couple other things. I've gotten called out to do Hollywood events. I've done events where I'm giving back to the community, so, and helping families within the Inland Empire create healthy meals and stuff like that. So things like that, I would say, bring me a lot of joy, and just the places that culinary has taken me.
Well, great, great. I'm thinking about having a party myself in Las Vegas, and
Oh,
I will definitely
wonderful.
give you guys a call. I'm very excited about the cake with alcohol in it. If it's that popular, there must be something to it.
Well, it's very popular actually, and you get to choose your own booze. So you let me know the particular alcohol that you want, and I infuse it with that.
Wow.
Hmm.
Sounds fun. Sounds fun.
So
Chef
yeah, you'll
LeLe,
have to try it when you come out.
I definitely will. Chef LeLe, thank you so much for coming on today.
You're
I
welcome,
I
and
thank
thank
you
you for
so much.
having me.
Yeah, thank you. And I look forward to seeing your next chapter of where you're going and where your business goes, and just watching your career progress. Thank you for listening to the Radical Rhythm podcast today. It has truly been my pleasure to bring stories of intrigue and mystery and sexiness to all of us. Um, this podcast is about radical women, women who do it, whatever it is, their own way. You might find many of the women here intriguing and interesting and wonder, Dr. Toni, how do you meet these people? From a hypnotist to a baker to a rock and roll club owner to a power lifter. Well, most of them are in my free group on Facebook called Voyages of Aphrodite. I love to feature women that are part of our community. So check out the link below this video and let me know if you'd like to join. It's free, and I'd love to have you. If you're interested in working with me, Dr. Toni Bear, my website is www.tonibearedd.com. On the website, you'll find my course, Aphrodite Secrets. You'll find my group coaching program, my community, whether it's the free Facebook community or my paid subscription community, and different events. I love to teach live, whether it be a workshop or a retreat. Right now, I am booking folks to go to Costa Rica with me in May 22. How exciting is that? Please check out my website, www.tonibearedd.com, where you find more information. Again, thank you for listening to our podcast today. And please enjoy yourself and don't let anyone dim your shine.